welcome to Nanaimo Yacht Charters. This is our little briefing and classroom area, and we're going to take you inside and we'll go through the area that you wish to sail on. And the idea is just to give you a general overview, and then we will provide the charts and all the equipment that you'll need to sail in that area. So let's get on with that. Right, I can see from your paperwork that you've chosen to sail across on the Sunshine Coast and up to Princess Louisa Inlet, which is my favorite area on this whole coast. So I hope you have a good time doing that. Now what I've got out here is our harbour chart, and it gives you an indication of where we are. You can see here this is the fuel dock, okay, and our base is right there, absolutely at the top of the ramp. This is Stones Marina, which is the last marina along the strip of marinas before the ferry. The ferry is here. Now, going to Princess Louisa, we'll take the boat off the dock and we're going to put it alongside the fuel barge, the fuel dock here, and that just makes it very easy for you to come and go. It's a 160-foot dock and it's all fended with rubber buffing material, so you have no problems in coming and going there. The idea is that we'll take you out and then just send you on your way, and when you come back you'll give us a call on the cell phone and we'll be there to meet you. As you come out here, you just stay in the middle, stay in the deep water. You'll see there is an aero beacon there, and that aero beacon, if it's flashing, will indicate that there's a seaplane about to land. And this is their landing and taking off area right here. And as I mentioned, the ferries are here as well. So it's a very, very busy ferry terminal, and you can see this is the course of all the ferries coming and going. So that's a continual movement of ferries, so you to watch out for them and the seaplanes. So when you come out here, you just head off straight, and you will see that there is a West Cardinal buoy there. And being a West Cardinal buoy means that the water is deepest on the west side, so you pass on that side, leaving the marker, the West Cardinal buoy, to starboard. And then you head straight off and up here to Tyne Point and around the corner to Neres. And when you get here, you'll see there's a shallow area. Just stay on the deep side of that. And you will be able to see if a ferry is about to leave. If it is about to leave, it usually gives a healthy blast on its whistle, so you'll be well warned of that. And of course, as you're here, you can look out to see if there's any incoming traffic. Now, from here, you head straight across to another Cardinal buoy. This time it's an East Cardinal buoy, and you'll want to leave that to the east. Come around this side of it, and as you come around, you'll immediately pick up a green can floating in the water just barely 500 meters north of your position here. And you just head straight up to it and leaving it to port. And once you're here, you have a clear shot of going straight through between Clark and Hudson Rocks, and you go straight out and on towards your destination. We're about to move off the harbour chart and go on to chart 3512, which gives us a passage across the strait. So here we are, past Clark Rocks, up to 14. Now if you have a look at 14, I'm going to shut this, move this out of the way. You'll see 4814 is right there. And if you come across, it's on Neck Point. Now we've already past Neck Point, and ahead of us lies an area, and it's demarked here very carefully, called Whiskey Gulf. Whiskey Gulf is a naval exercise area, and it supports the activities of the Nanaimo submarine and naval base, where the Americans and the Canadians have forces, and they are continually, well not continually, but quite often use this area as a naval exercise. Now you will find out whether this is active. If it is active, you have to come around here and give it a berth, or you can squeeze through north of the Winchelsea Islands and then head up that way. It's probably, from a navigational point, easier to just head, tip the corner and come around and then head off up towards Thormanby's. Now this is a beautiful little area, and usually folks leaving in the morning can get here by lunchtime, and they can enjoy just dropping the anchor and having a meal in beautiful anchorage and fantastic surroundings. And then from here you'd proceed up Welcome Passage. Now Welcome Passage does have a bit of current running on it, so maybe 2 or 3 knots, but only really noticeable when you're right up at the top of it. So just motor on through there and then head towards Secret Cove. And then you'll come into Secret Cove and spend the night in there. It's a delightful spot. There is a marine store and a grocery store and a little restaurant in this area, so it's a nice stopover. So that's where you'll spend probably your first night according to the itinerary. Then the next day is spent coming up here and all the way around and basically up Agamemnon Channel. So you'll be motoring up Agamemnon, a bit of a tongue twister, and then come around the corner and down to Egmont. Right, so we're now going to move on to the atlas. The atlas is a useful navigational aid. If I flip it over on its back, you'll see this whole area here of chance supporting your passage up through to Princess Louisa. So we'll just turn it over. Where we are at the moment, we've come up Agamemnon Channel and we've gone round to Egmont. So having a look at that, we'll just flip to chart 4. It's actually 3 and 4. So using that as a reference, there's 4. You can see this is good detail here. So this is the top end of Agamemnon Channel. So you'll come around the corner here and go in between Sutton, the Sutton Island group, and down towards Secret Bay. Now whenever they give you a little block like that, it means that they've blown it up in detail and with an arrow pointing to where to look. So here is Secret Bay, and you can come on in here and there is a public dock there that you can tie up on. And at the top of the ramp there is a little box there, and it's an honor system, and you can pay for your moorage, which is about $1 a night, $1 a foot per night, and you just pop that into the envelope and then you're paid for. So that's Egmont. Egmont does have a good supermarket just up the road from itself, so if you've forgotten anything or you need anything extra, short walk will rectify that problem. So here's Egmont, and when you're at Egmont, it's very well worth coming down here and taking the trail through down towards Brown Lake. It's a beautiful forest walk, and then you walk on down here to the Seashell Rapids. Now the Seashell Rapids are the strongest flowing body of water, that's natural flow, in other words just tidal, it's not a rapid, and that happens on every tide change. And if it's near springs, you'll have a terrific view of kayakers trying to ride the standing wave there. The current can run up to 16 knots in there, making it quite an exciting place to visit. And again, it is the strongest flowing body of water in the world. Now I'll show you how to use the ports and passes so you can ascertain whether it's worth going to. Right, and this is your ports and passes, which gives you the tide current forecast for the whole year. So we're very interested in what the strength of Malibu Rapids is going to be and when it's going to be slack. So we need to go through there at slack. Now if we're tied up to the public wharf in Egmont here, you've got to give us at least 6 hours to get through to Malibu, which is down this way. So first of all, we'll check. And the strength of the current is based on Point Atkinson, and Point Atkinson's on page 318, so I'll turn to 318 here, 316, 17.8, there is Point Atkinson. And let's say that we're going to go through on September the 1st. If you have a look here, and you home in on that, you'll see the different heights. These are the heights of tides in feet, and the heights of tide in meters. Now we need to go when it's slack. In other words, when there is absolutely no movement of water. So the way to achieve that is that you can go through on either of these times mentioned here. At 12:04 a.m. in the morning, well, we're not going to be up for that. 5 a.m. for those early risers, that will do just fine. So if you leave the dock at 5 o'clock, at 11:54 a.m., you'll see that it's absolutely low at 3.3 feet. Now that would be a perfect time. So we would have to be at Malibu at 11:54. Now, bear in mind that it's going to take us 6 hours to get there. So we'd be leaving, or should be leaving, before 6 o'clock in the morning. So you make an early start at 6 o'clock. 6 hours later, you'll be there at 11:54. Now, because it's a low water passage, we're going to have to add 35 minutes to it. If you were going to go through at high water, you'd add 25 minutes to it. So it's 11:54 plus 35 minutes. So essentially speaking, at about 12:30 would be a good time for you to be knocking on the door ready to go in. So that's when you would go in. Use this book. Remember, it's based on Point Atkinson. Point Atkinson's quite a long way away from where we're going to be at Malibu, hence the addition of 35 minutes for low water and 25 minutes for high water. What's also useful to have a look and see how strong the current is going to be at that time and whether it's worth taking the walk down. Personally, I think it's worth walking down through here and coming down past Brown Lake because it's such a beautiful walk in the forest. And if you get there at the time that the Seashell is flooding at its strongest, and the way you'd get that time there is you would go for maximum flood. So we're going to turn to the Skookumchuck Narrows in this book. Now remember, heights of tide are in blue and currents are in red, and it's alphabetical. So if we're looking for the Seashell Rapids, we will look. So we've turned to the Seashell Rapids page on page 424, and you can see it's in red, which means it's a current station. And if you come across here and look at September the 1st, the day that we're interested in, you can see that at the maximum, you'll see it's broken into slack, maximum, and whether it's a flood or ebb. So having a look here, you can see quite clearly that the maximum speed there is 13.9 knots. So that's running quite nicely, almost 14 knots of current is very strong. And the time that it is going to be max is at 6:12 p.m. in the evening, which is nice. So just take some mosquito cream with you, repellent with you, and take a flashlight just in case that you spend too much time down there and you'll need a little bit of assistance coming back. So that's it. That's how you'd get that. Slack is at 236. That's of no interest to us. We're interested when it's running at its maximum, which is 6:12. And how strong will it be? It's 13.9 and it's plus 13.9, which means that it's flooding. If it was ebbing, it would be a minus. As you can see above it, there's a minus 11.7. So that's well worth a walk through the forest to see the Skookumchuck or the Seashell Rapids run. So remember, the next day you're going to be leaving and you have to give yourself your 6 hours to get to Malibu Rapids. So we're going to turn this book over again and just give you an indication of where you'll be going. So flip it onto its back, and all the charts that are within are marked outside here on the cover. Now remember, we're up here in Egmont on chart 4. We're going to come through here and go through all the reaches, and you can't miss. You come all the way down and onto the last page, 7, which is Malibu Rapids right there. So I'll turn to 7 just to show you what that looks like. So you'll be coming through Princess Royal Reach, coming down here and to Malibu. Now if you have a look at Malibu Rapids, it's blown up over here because you've got the little box around it with an arrow pointing to there. Navigationally, it's very simple. You just come straight in through here. You'll see that there's a little island there. You leave that to starboard. You'll see where the deep water is. And you just do a slalom through here, staying right in the middle and not getting too close to either side. And you'll come straight through here and on your way down to Princess Louisa National Park. Now, from when you come through Malibu to the actual park itself will only take you about 30 minutes, so it's not too far. Now, here it is over here. Coming around here, past McDonald Island, there are some anchorages there, and straight on in here to Princess Louisa Marine Park. And that's where the Chatterbox Falls fall into the ocean. They come all the way down from the glaciers, 5,000 feet up, and they drop straight down here. It is the most impressive sight ever, and it really isn't to be missed. It's probably the most spectacular part of this coast, and it's well worth a visit. So if you've chosen to come here, well done, you'll enjoy it. Now, you can tie up along the jetty, or you can go stern to and put a stern line out in amongst the trees, dropping your bow here. As you can see, it's very deep, 20 meters. So it's best to have a bow and stern line there, and you should have a peaceful night because it is quite protected in here. Now, the thing is, we have to get back out of there, and remember, it's got to be done at slack. So we're going to see what slack looks like on the next day. So let's turn to September the 2nd. And here we are, September the 2nd, slack, SLK, is 2:55 a.m. We certainly won't be up in the morning for that. But then there's a very respectable 7:35 a.m. for the next slack, and that's when we're going to want to be there. So hopefully you will have a nice peaceful night nestled under the Chatterbox Falls. Now you've got to get out here, and remember you've got to get out here at slack. And slack is based on the slack at Point Atkinson. So let's turn to Point Atkinson on page 322 here, and we're going to see that on the 2nd, that at 12:40 a.m. you've got low tide. That's not a very good time for us. At 5:47 a.m., well, that's not too bad. You've got a high water slack there. So we would want to leave at just before 6, because remember, you're going to be adding, because it's high water, you're going to be adding 25 minutes to this time. So it would be 5:47 plus your 25 minutes, which makes it just a little after 6. So you'll want to be down there at 6 in the morning, ready to go through on that slack high. And you would come through here with it being slack, so there won't be a current running. If you get it wrong, this current will run at 9 knots, and you simply can't get through. So it's very important that you get your timing right from Egmont to here to go through. And if you don't get that right, there is a problem, because there is nowhere to anchor. If you have a look here, the anchorage is right up here, 160 meters. Remember, the sounding's all in meters. So there's absolutely no ways to anchor. When you get here, you have to go through. Even if you went up to the end of Queen's Reach, which they've extended here, you can see it goes from 100 meters down to 10 in a very short distance. There is no safe way to anchor. If you tried to anchor there, if the wind swung around, you'd be hard aground and not looking a very pretty sight. Okay, so remember that we have to get through Malibu Rapids at the designated slack time, either slack high or slack low. There's plenty of water through here, so it doesn't make any difference whether it's high or low water. It just has to be at slack, because this will run at 9 knots, as I've mentioned, and you have to, and there is nowhere to anchor. You'll see that the water in typical fjord type sailing is 200-300 meters. These soundings are all in meters, and you just simply can't tie up or anchor. So you've come through here at just after 6 in the morning, and you're going to head on back, and I'll show you where you're going to go. Right you are. So you spent the night, hopefully a good anchorage for you up in Harmony Islands, and then you're going to come north through here, not back down through Agamemnon, because we've already done that. Come around here and then down towards Pender Harbour, which is in this area here, and we'll show you what that looks like. It's on page 2. So we'll go to 2. So as I said, you come down this way and around here, and you can come down here to Pender Harbour, or you may like to stop on the way and come on in here and go up there and anchor for lunch, because there's a delightful area here in Blind Bay. And then you can come on down. Another spot is, you've got lots of good spots here that you can anchor in, but we're headed off down to Pender Harbour. You can come on down this way, and we'll show you what Pender Harbour looks like on one of the strip charts. Okay. Now we're going to move off the off this atlas for a little bit and go on to the strip charts of the Sunshine Coast, which are very useful. And on page 4 of the 5 charts in here, this is Pender Harbour. Pender Harbour is a terrific anchorage, and there's very many places that you can anchor in. You come in here, that's north of Williams Island, and leave Scarden Islands to starboard and come on straight through here, and you've got choices now. You can go into Hospital Bay, you can come through here and go right into Garden Bay if you wish, or you can tie up in the marina at Madeira Park, or up here there's more marinas. So there's lots to see and do, lots of good little cafes, and you can top up. There's grocery stores right here, and there you can see the marina sign. You can come on down here and thread your way through here if you wish, and you can anchor in here, and there's a delightful restaurant at the top. So plenty to do, and there's Gerrans Bay. So have a look, read your guidebook, and then choose where you want, because this is a great place to go to. Our atlas, and you can see this is Pender Harbour up in here. You can come on down here, because we're going to just a short sail around the corner here, and this is Skeety Island and Jedediah. So I'm going to open up on page 1 and show you where you'll be spending the night. There we are, there's page 1, and that's the Skeety. Now we've come around the corner down from Pender, and we're going to go up, and we get to Jedediah Island. And Jedediah is an interesting place. It was farmed by Mary Palmer for many, many years, and when she became too old to continue farming, she donated the whole island to the national park. And her wish was that people could visit here, yachtsmen could visit, and they wouldn't have to pay anything. So she gave the whole island across to the marine parks. So you can come down here. There's several good anchorages, and what I would suggest you do is use your guidebook. Right, this is your Sunshine Coast cruising guide. Invaluable, beautifully illustrated. This is the Yacht and Jones have done this, and they've done a superb job. And every single thing, every anchorage, beautifully sketched out. This is Pender Harbour with all the recommendations, phone numbers, and all you'd ever need. And also it does Jedediah, and explains to you exactly where you can tie up. So that in the actual cruising guide of the Sunshine Coast, you'll get a whole section devoted to Jedediah Island, and it's an enchanting little island. It actually still has all the animals on there, because when she left the whole thing intact. And it was obviously a healthy area, because Will the horse lasted for nearly 30 years, so he enjoyed being out there on his own. And the goats and sheep still roam the place. They've all gone completely wild, but it adds to the charm of the area. So what you're going to do is you're going to come on out of Jedediah. You can come through Bull Passage. If you are anchored in here, you'd come in through Bull Passage, or rather come out of Bull Passage and head straight across. Hopefully Whiskey Gulf is not active for you. If it is, you may want to just tuck down this side now. We will give you a chart of this area to give you more detail of coming round, but you can come down just leaving Bolinas Island to starboard and come on down here north of the Winchelseas, past Neck Point, and then back onto the harbour chart. Now what I would do if I were you for my last evening, instead of coming back to the base this way, I'd come around this way and in south of Protection Island, and then head on all the way down. You'll see there is a West Cardinal buoy. Leave that to starboard, and then come on up here, and you can anchor or pick up a mooring buoy. But right next to it is the dinghy, the famous Dinghy Dock pub, where you could enjoy your last meal ashore if you wished. or just watch a fantastic sunset. The advantage of being there is you're only 15 minutes away from the base. So it doesn't mean that you have to leave Skeety at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to get back for your 10 o'clock return. You can quite happily get up here at 9 o'clock in the morning and be down at the base for your check back at 9:30, which is at the fuel dock. So as you come up to the fuel dock, give us a holler and we'll be there to meet you and bring the boat round and tie it up. So that would be the end of hopefully a very memorable and picturesque trip for you.